So, you have just spawned in on a new island. Maybe it's your first time playing islands and you gotta figure out what to do. Well, today we're gonna do a guide, a tutorial to your first day on islands, and we're gonna get started right away. Step one is to get dressed. You're in your skivvies right now. Let's get some clothes on and get decent. Step one, guys, you're gonna spawn on one of two potential islands. Either the tropical biome or the temperate biome. Both will have grass. Grass comes in many different forms, including this on the tropical island, the Heliconia. If you walk up, you will be able to tell what you're about to pick, and with the grass, I would suggest picking a lot of it. We're going to need a lot over the next several steps in this tutorial and into the next tutorials as we get beyond the basic steps. So what I would do is run around and gather as much grass as you can. You can even get grass from the ferns if you are on this particular island type. Guys, I've gone ahead and gathered a little over 100 grass. What we're going to do now is, for the first time ever, take a look at the crafting menu. You can get there by opening your inventory and going to the crafting tab, or just by pressing... Oh, that's not correct. Sorry, I thought you could get there by pressing tab. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Alright guys, now I was doing some tutorials earlier and I ended up with some random items in my inventory, so I'm going to have some different looking items here than you're going to have. But what you're going to have is, for example, if you've only picked up grass, you're going to have the rope in blue, and you're going to have some other items here highlighted in red. Things like the torch, the kiln, etc., the smelting furnace, some of these basic tools. These are things you're going to be able to make. You can see the recipes and the ingredients for these tools, but until you actually have those items in your inventory, you won't be able to craft them. So for us, we're going to begin by crafting a bunch of rope, and to get dressed is very simple. Once you've crafted rope, if you still have grass in your inventory, you can make a grass shirt and a grass skirt, and then head back to the inventory, and you can right-click on them, and boom, you're partially dressed. Now, in the next steps, we're going to be working on tools as well as some armor. But for now, we have done the basics, guys. We have gotten dressed. That is step one. Alright, so we have some clothes on, but that's about it. Now we need to figure out how to get ourselves some tools. There are a few things we're going to need. Number one is sticks. They can be picked up from the ground, like that, or from plants that look like this. The other way you can get sticks is by walking up to any large tree. If you walk up to a large tree, you're going to be able to harvest an unlimited number of sticks, like the ones you find here on the ground, and wooden pieces from it. And you do that by walking up to the tree and right-clicking. This, like the grass, is something you're going to need a lot of, so I would go until you have maybe, say, 100. Inventory in this game works a lot like it does in Minecraft. It doesn't have anything to do with weight. You have a limited number of slots, and sticks can stack up to 200. So if you wanted to keep going, you certainly can. Nothing is going to stop you. Now, once you have gathered up those sticks, you are obviously going to need more rope, which is the reason we gathered so much grass in the beginning. You are also going to need stones and flint. Those are things you can find loose on the ground. Stones look like that, and flint looks like this. You're going to want to make sure you find maybe a dozen of each to start. Alright guys, stone seems to be much more common than flint, at least on the ground. I don't know if you need a dozen flint, but I ran around until I had 10, and in the process gathered up about 24 of the stone bits. Now, with this, the sticks, and rope, which we can obviously make using grass right here, we can begin crafting some of the basic tools for the game. Now, there are a lot here that are available to you guys. The ones I would recommend you starting with are the stone axe, the stone knife, which uses flint, the stone pick, and the stone hammer. We're going to need all of these in this tutorial, so you're going to be glad that you have crafted them. Once you have, you can go ahead and put them on your hotbar, which is down here. You have 10 slots, just like a lot of other games, and you can access them by pressing the number keys. There we go. All right, perfect. So we now have those tools. We have gone ahead, gotten dressed, and now we have some basic tools. Step 2 is complete. Woo! Alright guys, now we move on to step 3. Step 3 is to get us some basic armor. We are starting, obviously, with nothing, and we've gone ahead and made this simple grass shirt and grass skirt. These will help protect us ever so slightly from the weather, and I think they provide some basic armor protection. Is that right? Let's see. You know what? I don't know if they do it all. I think you just put these on so that you're not naked. The first step to getting ourselves some armor is to chop down some trees, guys, and you do that with the axe. Now, I would suggest doing this until you have 2 resin in your inventory and 6 pieces of bark. You will get those after chopping the tree down by chopping the fallen tree. Alright, and once it drops, you will find logs along with wooden pieces and sticks. Now, chopping down these withered old trees is a bad idea. They don't seem to produce bark or resin. Let's go find a live young tree. If you are on the temperate island, you will not be finding rainforest trees. You'll be finding oak trees and coniferous trees, but they will work just the same for our purposes here. Now, around your world, guys, you are going to find items randomly throughout the world, sort of pre-generated structures, and occasionally these can help cut down some of the steps to getting started. If you have a look over here, in a future tutorial, I'll be taking a look at cloth production and how to get yourself some of that stuff. If you find this item, it comes with a weaving loom, with yarn, with a needle, and with a sewing kit. We're going to leave those there for now because those are probably for a more advanced tutorial. For today, we are going to continue doing this. If I didn't point it out, you can switch between first person and third person by pressing C. Now, this tree produced, I think, only 1 bark. Is that correct? Something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and chop down 6 trees until I have 6 bark in the inventory. Alright guys, I've been chopping a bunch of trees. I now have 6 bark in my inventory, and I ended up with 4 resin at the end of the process. I feel like I should have more, but some of these trees may not produce much resin. The key here is the ability to create some basic armor. We can now make the bark helmet and the bark armor boots. You can't make the other bits until you have cloth, I believe, and a sewing kit, but we can now make these. These provide a little protection against... so there you go, armor 5, and they have strengths and weaknesses as well, but just by right-clicking them, they go in your inventory, and you are now going to look like this. If you rock a mustache, you look fantastic. But guys, this is step 3. We now have some basic armor. Woo! Celebrate! Alright guys, after all that chopping, my character is starting to get hungry. I am eating some elderberries, which come from these bushes here, with little white clusters on them. There's one there and one there. What I would recommend on your first day is just to scavenge some basic food from the environment, and to scavenge one particular food type. I can go to 2 or 3 or 4 elderberry bushes and keep myself fed for today, or I can gather this wild melon, but I don't need to fill my inventory with 12 different types of food. I can pick one and feed myself on that for the first day. Alright guys, so I talked you through making your basic tools, and so far the only one we have used is the axe. Now we are going to use the knife, and we're going to use it actually in a crafting recipe. So we're going to use it to turn sticks into poles. So if you come to your inventory now, you should be able to see this. And like the sticks, like the grass, like some of the other things we've gathered, I would recommend making a big pile of these poles. They're going to come in handy as the game goes on. Once we have done that, assuming you still have a stone and some rope in your inventory, you can make yourself a stone spear. Alright guys, and that is my favorite weapon. It actually looks like we may need it here. That is some kind of weird panther or cat. I like this weapon, guys, because it provides you some range, and it hits hard enough to kill things like a panther in three or so shots. Alright, and now you can provide yourself with a better food source. Raw meat, which can be cooked on a fire. We will get to that as the game goes on. We'll cook some meat before dinner, but now we're prepared with our first weapon. It's a melee weapon. It would also be nice to have a ranged weapon. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's required for a wooden bow. Early in the game, you can make the stick bow with sticks and rope. Once you've made a pole, several poles, you can combine that with rope to make the wooden bow. Now that bow, sadly, is useless until we're able to make arrows. Arrows are something that require several ingredients. Each crafting of arrows, which provides you with 10, requires 10 sticks, 1 resin, 1 flint, and feathers. I have shown you how to collect sticks. I have shown you a way to collect resin, but there is another way that I will show you right now using the knife. If you put the knife on your hotbar and select it, you can walk up to a tree and extract resin. Now this is a slower process, and you only get 1 resin every time you do it, but you can do it several times to the same tree without any ill effect. So I would go ahead and do this until you have enough resin to craft all the arrows that you would like. The easiest way to collect feathers on your first day, guys, is to pick them up just like we did with stones and flint from the ground. You will also find birds' nests that occasionally contain 2 feathers, and I've shown you one way to collect flint. There is another way, and I think I found a patch right here that will allow us. If you use your pick and you find this sort of lightly yellow-colored deposit in the ground, you should be able to mine some flint from it. And mining in this game is it's a pretty good system, and what happens as you mine, the resources will pop up here on the side, and you can dig this until you have exhausted it, depending on how much flint you need to start. Some of these veins go very, very deep, so just be prepared. Alright guys, we now have a solid supply of flint. I think feathers are the thing that we will be lacking, but we should be able to craft ourselves, what is this, 30 arrows. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's put the bow on our hotbar. Alright guys, so now that we have the bow, we can engage dangerous creatures without getting ourselves in too much trouble. We can go ahead and take on panthers from range, and before it gets close enough to fight us, actually we could even make it run, it seems. There you go, we can scare it off. There's another one right there. Let's go ahead and put some shots into it, and we'll see if we can kill it from a distance. There you go. Alright guys, so benefits of the bow. It is getting quite late in the day, guys, but we have gone ahead and crafted some basic weaponry. A spear and a wooden bow along with arrows. That is step 4, and we need to make camp before it gets too dark. Alright, the sun is setting on us and the day is running out. It's time for us to make camp. We've gone ahead throughout today, made some basic clothing in step 1. In step 2, we made some basic tools. Step 3, we armored up, and in step 4, we made basic weapons. Step 5 is the final step of today's tutorial, and it's about making camp. So if you have gone ahead and gathered extras, you will probably have everything you need to make camp right now, guys. Let's go ahead, and if you have these wooden pieces, just go ahead and drag those out, and you will drop one on the ground, and you will get this. Or you could similarly find a stick or something on the ground. You can also go ahead and craft something here called an unlit campfire. It will work almost the exact same as these wooden pieces, but we need a way to light that. So if you have 2 extra flint, you can craft the flint lighter. Now this needs to go on your hotbar, and once it is, go ahead and select it, and you can walk up and click light campfire. Like so, and like so. Perfect. Now, you can go ahead and light as many of these as you like. If you want to make sure to light up the night, you can light sticks, wooden pieces. I think you can even do it with bark. There are many ways to start campfires. And when they burn out, guys, assuming you have a source of wood on your hotbar, you can walk up and you can feed them to keep them burning longer and to keep them going all night long. Like so. Alright, so now we have a little light. We're not urgently in need of anything. We can go ahead and take advantage of the food that we gathered today and cook it. So this is the raw meat from the one beast that we killed, and you can go ahead and turn any fruit or vegetables you've gathered throughout the day into roasted fruit and vegetables, which I think provide you with a little more sustenance than the raw versions. So those are cooking, and they will take a minute in-game as you watch that countdown. While that's happening, guys, I want to give us a spot to sleep, to get through this night and to get it over with. So we should be able to make a little bit more rope, like so, and with grass and rope we should be able to make something called the sleeping pad. And once you have that, you're going to have to go ahead and put that on the hotbar as well. And once you have, and you press it, you're going to get this sort of free placing floating out in space. You need to find a place that is level-ish and place. Now, if you were to right-click, you pick this back up and add it to your inventory, but if you walk up to it and press the little, whatever letter it says there, guys, I'm going to just plan, because the game's in early alpha, this could change, but for me right now, it's the letter I. This is going to pop up, and I will see this little hand icon. Sometimes when you are in first person, this will not work, or it didn't used to work. It will now. So we can go ahead and do that, and if we walk up now, the options have changed. If we right-click, we lie on it, and to pack we have to press the letter I. So let's lie, and let's go back to third person so you can see it, and now we can sleep. And before we do that, let's go ahead and eat. I don't want to make sure I have given you a proper first day, you have a proper camp, and now we can feast on a massive piece of cooked meat. Beautiful. Good stuff, guys. So let's right click to lie down, and now let's left click to sleep. On a multiplayer server or in single player, you're going to get these options: morning, noon, evening, night. For us, we're going to sleep until morning. If you are playing on a multiplayer server with other players, they will get the notification that you'd like to sleep, and they will have the option to also sleep. And there we go, guys. Once you speed through the night, your fires continue burning. The clocks will not go any quicker. If you had 50 seconds left when you went to sleep, that clock wouldn't run out overnight. And here we are, guys. We have done it. We have survived the first day on your island. I hope this tutorial has been useful. We went through 5 basic steps. 1, we got dressed with some basic grass clothing. Number 2, we made basic tools: an axe, which you can use to chop down trees, a hammer, which you can use to craft other tools, a pick, which you can use to mine resources from the ground, and a knife, which you use to make certain things as well as to extract resin from trees. And then after that, guys, we went ahead and made basic armor from bark. We use our axe to chop down trees. Out of the way, you dang horse. We made bark armor boots and a bark armor helmet. I think it's a pretty good look for your first day on the island. And then finally, then we went on to make some basic weapons, guys. We geared up with the spear, the stone spear, and with the wooden bow. There is a wooden spear and there is a stick bow, sort of more simple versions of what you've got now. We also made arrows. So we are armored and we are armed. And then to finish, we made camp. We set down a campfire and we made a sleeping pad, which you can now pack up and pick up and take as you move on into day 2. Alright guys, my name is UniteTheClans. If you have found yourself enjoying this tutorial, you might want to consider subscribing. There will be more tutorials to show you how to get further into the game. I very much hope you enjoyed the starter guide, and if you really enjoy me, the sound of my voice, and you think you'd like to watch a Let's Build style series from me, before I did this, I made a long 15-episode series of me playing and building and exploring in islands. It's popping up on your screen right now, along with my ginger face. Click on that to subscribe, and click on the playlist if you want to keep watching. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.